Knoxville, Tennessee, a river city rich in Southern tradition, noted for many things. Neyland Stadium, the home of the University of Tennessee Volunteers. On game day, Neyland Stadium is the 6th largest city in the state. The beautiful steamships cruising down the Tennessee River. Knoxville is the gateway to the Great Smoky Mountains, one of the most beautiful locations on earth with millions of visitors every year. But Knoxville is also known for its professional wrestling. This is the Knoxville Civic Coliseum. For years, it played host to some of the most exciting wrestling matches ever held, featuring nearly every top athlete in our sport. On August 5th, 1994, Smoky Mountain Wrestling invited a record-breaking crowd to relive the glory years for a night of action, a night of emotion, a night of memories, the night of the legends.
And welcome to another action-packed, exciting episode of the Smoky Mountain Rewatch Along Project. This is podcasting the way it used to be and the way you like it. This show is a production of the Something Else Podcasting Network, and is episode number 133 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from August 13th, 1994, taped August 5th, 1994, from the Knoxville Coliseum in Knoxville, Tennessee. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is the Les Thatcher to my Jim Ross. It's Trae. Trae, how the hell you doing today?
Why do you get to be Jim Ross?
Because I'm the lead person on the show?
You think you are.
Remember when Taz let his contract run out in like 2009 and SmackDown became lead announcer Todd Grisham with Jim Ross?
That's a very bizarre thing to have happened.
Yes. Yes, it was. So yeah, we're talking about Night of the Legends today, along with the little bit of the Smoky Mountain episode this week on August 13th that talked about the biggest bait and switch in Smoky Mountain wrestling history. Trae, I am shocked that I did not hear you screaming from Texas.
I just now managed to watch it right before we started recording, so I was too hurried to. No, it was just like, I don't know. Here's the thing about, like, when the booking is bad on a Cornette show, it's not a fucking tragedy like bad Russo shit. It's just low effort, dumb, boring, lame.
The problem is, because Cornette is a good booker, and this is really with any booker, is that the disappointment is that much higher when they do something bad.
Honestly, you had built it up to the point, and I didn't know what it was going to be. That when I saw what it ended up being, I was just like, oh, that's fucking lame.
I think the problem is, like, I didn't want you to look it up because I know you look stuff up a lot of times to see what's going to happen. And I didn't want you to look it up. And I probably oversold it a little bit in an effort to keep it as a surprise.
I was not impressed with the creative insight of this finish.
No. But hey, we'll get to that because we got like 4 hours to go before we get to that match. So when we were talking about this show a few weeks ago, I don't know what I had seen, but I could swear I saw a YouTube video of this show that was 4.5 hours long. However, when I went to go find it and watch it, every version I saw was 3.5 hours. And I did not find a 4.5 hour version to save my life. I think it's possible that there was a version somewhere that included the entrances, but I don't think that would be enough to get it another hour because this show, like, all the entrances are cut out.
Yeah, the original VHS release from the 90s probably has the entrances.
Probably, because this is the
Yeah.
remastered DVD version that if you bought it when Jim was selling it on his website, he may still be selling it on his website, probably no, but he was selling it on his website. This was the version that was being sold.
I think my copy is signed.
Nice. By the way, 5,000 people to the Knoxville Civic Coliseum, $40,000 house, which I know doesn't sound like a whole lot, but especially for 1994, especially for 1994 independent wrestling, that's a fucking success.
Now, was this the biggest house they did in Knoxville? Or...
Either this or Super Bowl of Wrestling, which is only depressing because Super Bowl of Wrestling is more or less the last hurrah.
That would be especially sad if but yeah, this was a big show.
Yep, not Paul White big show, but it was a big show nonetheless.
The production was like so much more professional than the TV.
Oh, definitely. Now the actual live house show did go 4 hours, but it also included a lengthy intermission and shit like that. And this show, of course, featured stuff that was not on the live event, you know, for obvious reasons that we'll get to. But let's go to the intro of the show with Jim Ross and Les Thatcher in the ring, and then they're going to throw it to a promo with Doug Furnas, who's in our opening match.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, a night of legends. We are in the Knoxville Civic Coliseum, a capacity crowd on hand. I'm Jim Ross, and as a wrestling fan, I wouldn't have missed this event for the world. And I'm certainly honored to have a great wrestling legend, Les Thatcher, here with us tonight as my broadcast colleague. Les, this is going to be a very special night.
Jim, it certainly is, and as you can hear by the electricity in the air, this is the greatest night in Knoxville wrestling history. We're all happy, the fans and myself, to have you on the mic with us tonight for this momentous occasion. And without further ado, let's let it roll.
Let's let it roll. Let's get started. We'll be back with all the action in just a moment.
Jim Cornette, Killer Kyle, you want to talk about who the strongest wrestler is? You want to talk about who the baddest guy is? Well, let me tell you something. If you're looking in a mirror, you ain't seeing the strongest guy in professional wrestling. You ain't even seeing the strongest guy in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Well, tonight, the Night of Legends, it's a great honor to be in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we're going to show you not only who the strongest guy in professional wrestling is, we'll show you who the best wrestler is.
The nicest thing I said about this promo was, at least it's not Mike Furnas.
What do you think Glove is up to?
What was it? He got run over by a delivery car, so he's no Darby Allin.
If he'd been lucky, it would have been the Thrillseekers fucking. Like, it wasn't on the DVD, but I was just flipping through the TV show, and the Thrillseekers entrance was like, it's a fucking sports car, and you're supposed to think that they ran it, but then they jumped the heavenly bodies in the other direction. But this car was moving so fucking slow.
I saw that too. I didn't even think the car was moving. I thought it was just stopped at the entryway.
Yeah. Well, maybe it was. Maybe that's why it was so fucking slow.
But yeah, Jim Ross and Les Thatcher are your announcers, which, with all due respect to Bob Caudle, and we love Bob Caudle, Jim Ross is a big step up.
Yeah, the Jim Ross is pretty good.
Yeah. That Jim Ross guy, much like that Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair guys that we were talking about yesterday, Jim Ross is pretty good at his job.
Yeah, very talented people.
Yeah. Maybe something will one day come up with Jim Ross. He might get a shot at the big time. So opening match, Doug Furnas versus Killer Kyle. Well, not really the opening match. The opening match was Conan Chris Walker in what ended up being a dark match because he's already out of the territory. Poor Jim Cornette.
I was so confused because I've seen the show before, but it's been years. I was so confused when they actually when they showed him interfering in the main event because this match with Richard Slinger must have been fucking dreadful.
I don't know. I think it might have just been that, well, I guess this was re-released. This was like from 2004, 2005. I think maybe like Cornette just like wanted people to forget that Conan Chris Walker existed, so just edited him off of the show entirely.
He didn't know. He had him run in the fucking title match.
Well, he didn't know on August 5th, 1994, but he knew when they were putting together the tape to sell it. You know what I mean?
No. Move on.
Okay. Anyway, so Furnas was apparently training for a bodybuilding competition, and I guess Jim Ross and Les Thatcher just said he was training, so theoretically they could be talking about Killer Kyle, but spoiler alert, Killer Kyle will definitely lose a bodybuilding contest. Les talked about how he had talked to someone from Montreal earlier, and Trae, I hear they have great fishing up in Quebec.
I fucking hate Quebec.
Fucking hate Quebec. This damn Quebecers. Anyway, Kyle took his shirt off for what I'm pretty sure was the first time ever on Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Now, I know he was WCW jobber Mark Kyle, but on this show, he's always worn a shirt. And the funny thing is, remember like a month or so ago, and I kept mixing up Mark Kyle and Bruiser Bedlam? They looked a lot more alike with Killer Kyle without a shirt on here.
Yeah.
However, instead of having a whole bunch of tattoos, Killer Kyle just has a whole bunch of body hair. Furnas went for the dick to the face, but Kyle turned it into a stun gun. There was this blonde guy in WCW that used to do that move. Whatever happened to him?
I think I saw him do an interview with Chris Van Vliet today.
Well, that's nice.
Same guy, yeah.
Chris Van Vliet gave him the rub.
Yeah, he has a very lovely ranch out in Nevada, apparently, and some cats.
Really?
Big fan of cats. So yeah.
Well, I approve of anybody who was a fan of cats, but I did not know that man lived in Nevada these days.
Yeah.
So Furnas made his comeback and would have won with the Hurricane Rana, but he didn't get his head. Didn't get his head around Kyle's head, but he didn't get his legs around Kyle's head, and instead pulled Kyle over under the armpits.
It was actually pretty cool. Like, it was like a Body Scissors decided it wanted to be a real Hurricane Rana.
Honestly, it was like a front version of that roll-up that Owen Hart used to do, where he'd jump from behind, put his legs under your armpits, and pull you back.
Yeah.
It's how he beat Rocky Maivia for the Intercontinental title.
I will say that this was. I would be shocked if you didn't know how Owen Hart beat Rocky Maivia for the Intercontinental title.
Yep. So, what were your thoughts on Furnas versus Kyle?
It was better than the average world-class TV match.
And shorter.
Yeah.
Let's go backstage for a promo with Bob Orton and Mr. Excitement, Dick Slater.
Couple of minutes. Dickie, I'm telling you, I'm just so excited. The Mongolian Stomper, Ronnie, Garvin, never have they ever been a tag team before. And never will they ever be a tag team again after we get through with them. They're mean, tough, rough individuals. Yes, they are. But Dickie,
the only thing about Bob Orton and I, we always go forward, because when you start going backwards, you start feeling like the south end of that northbound mule. And then you know what that is? For you people out there that understand that, you start feeling like Aspen, Colorado. And I'm going to tell you something right now, Ronnie, Garvin, Stomper, Bob Orton Jr. and I, our record goes way, way back. And nobody's ever taken us in the ring and put our shoulders down to the mat. We don't even care about the shoulders being down anymore. We just want to fight. It's like that driving a go-kart. It's like the Indianapolis 500. And this is what it's going to be like. The big one, my friend.
Oh, that's great. And I'm sure all those people are sitting there, well, how can these two fellas be standing there smiling? Well, you might know about the south end of northbound mules. But we're excited and smiling because we love to fight, Daddy. And the fight's on.
In just a few minutes, you know what we're going to be doing? We're going to step in the ring with Bob Orton and Dick Slater. Yeah, they're probably the two toughest individual on the circuit. But I'm going to tell you something. You're looking at one of the craziest son of a... I ain't going to finish the sentence, but I'm I'm just as crazy as he is. We're going to use the furniture. In 5 minutes from now, Knoxville's not going to be the same. The Coliseum's not going to be the same. Dick Slater and Bob Orton Jr. ain't going to be the same. There's going to be some furniture. They're going to pick wood out of their heads. They're going to pick their teeth out of the mat. And they're going to pick their booty out of the commode because we're going to drive them all over this building. So get ready. You think I've lost it? Yeah, I've lost it years ago right here in this Coliseum when I fought this guy. Now he's going to be behind me and I'm going to be behind him. I don't know who's going to be behind, but we're going to kick some booty. You understand here?
Ronnie Garvin was not known for his promos.
Kind of love unhinged Ronnie Garvin. That was highly entertaining. I want to know why Slater and Orton aren't in the territory full time.
I actually say that here is, during the match, I'm like, man, I would give anything for these guys to be here full time.
Yeah.
And when Slater and Orton are like, they don't care if they lose, they're just here to fight. I'm like, well, I guess we know who's going to win this match, don't we? Even though I guess technically we don't.
See,
and then Garvin calls Orton. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They could come into the territory and be the team that gets disqualified against jobbers. We haven't had one of those in a minute.
We're kicking too much ass.
Yeah.
Although if this match coming up is any indication, maybe they would win all their matches by disqualification because the jobbers kick too much ass.
I think Anthony Michaels and Steve Skyfire would put a whooping on them.
Yep. Orton and Slater were told are two of the toughest individual in the circuit. What's with people from Montreal not knowing their S's, and not using their S's correctly?
It's because French is weird and arbitrary. It's like that was always a famous Pat Patterson thing. You can't the Quebecois can't do English plurals.
Yeah. I remember, I forget which book of his, when Mick Foley told a story about Shane Douglas doing a Pat Patterson impression on his answering machine.
Yeah, yes.
Poor Mick Foley. Hopefully he gets his break one day too.
Yeah.
Now, I actually, during this promo, I thought, I wonder if Garvin is the guy from Montreal that Les talked to earlier.
I hadn't thought of that.
He wouldn't be lying if that was the case.
It's true. It's true.
So we then get the match, Bob Orton and Dick Slater versus the Mongolian Stomper and Ron Garvin in the Legends match. Mac McMurray is the referee. I was questioning whether or not I wrote down his name correctly, and then it comes up again later. And yes, his name is Mac McMurray.
Mac McMurray.
Yes. God damn it, McMurray.
McMurray's a piece of shit.
McMurray is a piece of shit. Except for Bonnie McMurray.
Bonnie McMurray.
Les tells us that Stomper's first match in the Knoxville Coliseum was a 2-ring battle royal on January 1st, 1976. Normally, I would make a joke that the person making that comment was probably there, but Les Thatcher was probably there.
He probably actually was there.
Yes. JR chimes in that the Stomper's finish is the Shinin no Maki. Why do our shows constantly link together like this?
It's rhythms of the universe.
I wrote, it's too bad that Orton and Slater aren't in full time. They had amazing physical comedy, like when Slater was scurrying away from his opponents and managed to crotch himself on the post. At one point, Orton hid behind Slater while their opponents were punching at Slater. They got the heat on Garvin, hit the demolition decapitation on him, and referee Mac McMurray, oh my God, referee Mac McMurray laid across Garvin's legs to make the count, and somehow Garvin still managed to kick out. Stomper got the hot tag, the ref got bumped, and Stomper took off his boot to beat people with for the no contest. That should have been heels winning by disqualification. Like, what the hell did Orton and Slater do to get disqualified here?
Yeah, this was the match was just highly entertaining, classic pro wrestling shit. And then I guess they didn't want to beat the baby faces, but then they didn't want to beat the heels because Slater is challenging for the title tomorrow. Or maybe I put more thought into it than they did, and it's just a lazy non-finish.
Quite possibly. And actually, and I know this wasn't quite the same thing, but Orton hiding behind Slater while Garvin and Stomper were beating up Slater reminded me of when Mr. Regal would wrestle on NXT back in the day during the game show NXT. I forget who he was wrestling, but he was wrestling somebody. He was beating him up in the corner. So the referee pulls him out and admonishes him. And Mr. Regal's like, oh yes, I completely understand. And I'll never cheat again. And while he's doing this, he's using his foot to back kick his opponent in the face. And it was just tremendously funny.
I was looking at Bob and thinking that, yeah, because the way he's built and like his face, he looks just like Randy, obviously, but he has the curly hair. And I'm thinking, man, Randy's lucky he didn't get the curly hair. And then I thought back to the early scene of Randy Orton, and it occurred to me that, oh, that's why Randy Orton has always kept his head in much shape.
Yes. It's funny because like Bob Orton was never considered a great promo, and then Randy came along, and well, it took a long time for Randy to come along as a decent promo, and Bob always looked like the greatest promo of all time in comparison.
I'm a huge Cowboy Bob Armstrong fan. He's great.
Cowboy Bob Armstrong.
Yeah, him too. I don't know.
That's one gimmick Bullet Bob did not ever do, I don't think.
Well, he was Jim Durango on the first New Japan tour. Remember we talked about that?
I guess we'd have to go hunt down fan cam footage from that show.
I think there's footage of that first show.
Well, we got about 6 minutes to find it because Jim Ross is in the ring and he's about to bring out the Gangstas for another amazing New Jack promo. Let's go to JR right now.
Interview the most controversial team in any wrestling federation. They have caused more controversy by the spoken word than any team in the world of professional wrestling. At this time, let's bring out New Jack and Mustafa Saeed, the Gangstas. Gentlemen, the reason that we have asked you to join us at this time is that in recent weeks, Smoky Mountain Wrestling has received a great deal of complaints from the great television stations that air the broadcast, from the wrestling fans, and even from the Knoxville chapter of the NAACP. I am here to advise you, as a representative of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, that from now on, all of your interviews will have a disclaimer. The television stations and Smoky Mountain Wrestling are not going to be responsible for what you're saying on your interviews, and if you go over the line, then you will be censored. I'm sure you have some statements regarding this situation.
Let me tell you something. First of all, I'm going to give you redneck hillbilly the privilege of seeing me here. You understand? Now, it seems like every time you get one of us that want to be outspoken, you want to silence them. You silence Martin Luther King, you understand? You silence Medgar Evers, and now you even try to silence Arsenio Hall. You took him off the air. Well, baby, I'm here, and I'm going to be here until I feel like I want to leave. And if you don't like me being here, train to be a professional wrestler, get in this ring, and I'll beat you like I own you. I don't care nothing about these hillbillies not liking me. I don't care nothing about these hillbillies putting a censor on what I say and what I do. I've been censored all my life. So what do you think I care about these fools up here gonna try to do something to me? Let me tell you, and I tell Smoky Mountain, and especially I'm gonna send a message out to the NAACP. A bunch of trained Negroes, as you call them. You understand? Y'all got them where you want them. You got these Negroes from the NAACP in a cage. You tell them to jump, they say, well, ha, Master Jones. When New Jack, you don't tell how far to jump. Because I tell you to drop dead, you understand? I'm going to do what I want to do. NAACP, what they call them? National Association of Colored People. First of all, you get them, they say, don't call a black man colored. But then they going to sell out to y'all. I'm not selling out to y'all. If you don't like me, the hell with all of you. Because if you want to get something going with me, you ain't got to be trained to be a wrestler. Get your ass in here, and I'll beat you like I own you. Now, what do you think about that?
Well, I have one more question to ask you, and I'll do it with respect. Perhaps you'll answer me with respect. And these great fans here, what exactly is your objective here in Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
Everywhere we have ever went, we done beat people until we got tired of beating them. Then one day somebody said, well, we know somebody you hadn't beat yet. I said, who? I said, it can't be nobody from South Central LA because we whooped all them to death. I said, who? They said, the Rock and Roll Express. I done beat brothers that have been in jail for murder. I have beat brothers that's done been in jail for molesting their own kids. I done beat brothers that's done been in jail for stealing cars. The only thing the Rock and Roll Express has done, which I'll give them credit where it's due, they done beat Doom, they beat the Steiners, they beat the Road Warriors, they done beat all the top dogs wrestling, but never have they been in a fight. You understand? True enough, they might beat us wrestling, but a fight. I'm talking about an eye-gouging, hair-pulling, teeth being knocked out fight with no rules. They hadn't been in that yet. And until them rednecks get in here with me, I don't consider them top dog because they got to survive this butt whooping that they gonna get from the gangsters. Like me or not, I don't care if you like me, because I don't like none of y'all either. The ones of you that don't smell like tobacco spit smell like coal. So hey, I'll say this from the bottom of my heart. Smoky Mountain fans, TV producers, the NAACP sellouts, kiss my black ass. And that's the bottom line.
New Jack, making friends and influencing people. Mustafa was one of the best promos of his career right there.
You're right. They were getting cheered when they came out.
To be fair, I think those were piped in because that's the other thing about this DVD was that they took out all of the real music. And I mean, that's why they didn't show interest. You saw the gangsters walking out, but
you're right. I'm dumb.
I mean, you're not dumb.
I mean, I am, but it's.
I mean, it's like at the end of the day, until New Jack opens his mouth, it's like they look cool. It's two big badass guys coming out there and like coming out to hip hop music. Like I know it's the Deep South, and I am not saying that like adult men and women were gonna fall in love with the gangsters, but it's like I'm gonna bet the kids definitely would have loved them, or if it wasn't this heavily racial angle.
I think we need to induct New Jack into the something else hall of something else.
Oh, most definitely. Is there any one particular reason that we're inducting New Jack into something else hall of something else?
For calling the NAACP, and I'm quoting, a bunch of trained Negroes.
Oh, God. New Jack, inducted January 6th, 2026, for calling the NAACP a bunch of uppity Negroes.
Trained. Uppity means something else.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know it's terrible. I laughed so fucking hard at that line.
Oh God! I honestly, him telling him to kiss black cat.
Oh, I remember him talking about that on Dark Side of the Ring, and it's true, and it's a Southern thing. There is no way to piss off a shitty white person quite as explicitly as telling them to kiss your black ass.
Oh Lord! So would New Jack piss you off if he told you to kiss his black ass?
Oh, I'd pop for it, but that's me.
My brother and I met New Jack at WrestleCon in Atlanta for WrestleMania 27, and the picture always makes me laugh because it's like you could tell by the look of his face that like the last thing he wanted to do was hang out with two, corny ass white people from the north. Oh God.
I bet New Jack would just be fascinating to have a conversation with.
Well, most definitely. Most definitely. You silenced Martin Luther King, you silenced Malcolm Evans, and now you're silencing Arsenio Hall.
Medgar Evers.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Wasn't Malcolm Evans Stokely?
Malcolm Bivens.
Okay. Close enough. All right, so it's hard to go from that to something else, but Tammy Fytch has something to say here. Let's go to Tammy and then go over to the Rock and Roll Express to preview the tag team title match coming up here.
I hope everybody's happy. I hope everybody is just peachy thrilled because tonight at the Night of the Legends, my boys have yet another title defense against the Rock and Roll Express. But this time, tonight, I can't stand outside the ring and cheer them on. I can't stand outside the ring and give them a little help when they need it. God knows they don't need it. They can do it all their own. But tonight, I have to stand outside the ring, and I have to be handcuffed to Ricky Gibson. Robert Gibson's brother, the genetic defect himself, the little pervert. I don't know what he's going to try to do to me. So while my boys are wrestling, I have to worry about Ricky Gibson, and my boys have to worry about Ricky Gibson doing something to me too. Brian, please don't let him do anything.
They're not gonna do anything. You know what? Does she look like a common criminal? No. Myself and Chris, we can handle handcuffs, but you're gonna put a handcuff around this little fragile wrist? Big men. I'll tell you what, big men, we're gonna take you out tonight, 1, 2, 3. Ricky Gibson, Robert Gibson, Ricky Morton, we don't care. It's time to draw the line, and tonight we're drawing the line in Knoxville. Isn't that right, Chris?
Tonight is the Night of the Legends, and Rock and Roll Express, you guys don't even belong in the ring. You guys are legends, we all know it. You guys belong in the Hall of Fame, so why don't you go sit next to all those rickety, crippled up old men out there? That's where you belong. You don't belong in the ring with the two greatest stars of the day, Brian Lee and myself. So tonight, the Night of Legends, we're putting you guys into retirement, and we're keeping these Smoky Mountain Tag Team Championships.
In just a few short minutes from now, the Night of Legends, myself and Robert Gibson are going to step in the ring with Tammy Fytch and Brian Lee and Chris Candido. You see, every time we had a match with these guys, it seems Tammy Fytch always wanted to interfere. But you see, Tammy, I told you a long time ago to be careful whose toes you step on your way up, because it might be connected to the ass that you got to kiss on your way back down. Because remember one thing tonight, Tammy Fytch, we have one thing going for us. Tonight, and I have the honor right now to introduce them to everybody, is you're going to be handcuffed to the legend himself, the brother of Robert Gibson, Ricky Gibson, which everybody here in this area all know of. Ricky, come on in right now, buddy.
Let me say something, brother. Tonight's a special night. Night of the Legends. I am gratefully and proud to be a legend, but tonight's going to be one of my special nights. My brothers here have been going for the belts, and it seems like every darn time there's something that falls in the way. Well, like I said, tonight's a special night, but it's going to be one of the special ones for me, because I'm going to see, brother, if she wants to do anything she wants. You can go ahead and try, but let me tell you one thing. You're handcuffed to me, and a legend has experience. I know what I'm doing, brother.
And there you have it from us, the Rock and Roll Express.
Ricky Gibson did not learn Robert Gibson did not learn to cut promos by listening to Ricky. because, that was not the greatest promo we ever heard, but that was much better than anything Robert Gibson has ever said especially on this show.
Might help if
And if Trae took himself off mute, he could chime in.
Maybe that's Robert Gibson's problem. Maybe Hoot was always on mute.
There you go,
Hey, we're going to beat those guys for the belts.
I would assume that Ricky was the promo guy on the team when the Gibson brothers were a team as well.
Oh, I mean, it was easier for Robert if he just let people named Ricky talk for him.
Well, yeah.
So we then go to the match, which are the tag team champions, Primetime Brian Lee and his partner, the WWA World Heavyweight Champion, the U.S. Junior Heavyweight Champion, and the Beat the Champ Television Champion, Chris Candido, with Tammy Fytch versus the Rock and Roll Express with Ricky Gibson. Trae, do you realize that The Undertaker appears at Smoky Mountain's big August show 2 years in a row?
There was a young lady in a red T-shirt in the front row who was just giving Brian Lee the business. Like, I think she straight up screamed "fuck you" almost right in his face.
I somehow did not notate that. The one thing I did notate, though, is that Tammy is handcuffed to Ricky Gibson, but that's just to prevent her from interfering. Why does she have to sit on a chair with him? Why is she not allowed to be standing in the corner, especially if she's following the rules, just being handcuffed to Ricky, since her job is to be the manager and give support and advice to her team?
Well, because then they would have to be in the same corner, and that would just be chaos.
Chaos and anarchy, I guess. So, JR mentioned that the Rock and Roll just did a tour of the Far East. Did you look up what that tour of the Far East was?
Was that war?
No! It was a week of WWF house shows in Austria and Germany where they lost to the Smoking Guns.
The Rock. That's hilarious. They do, I think, do a war tour somewhere in the next year or so, which is why my brain went there, I think.
Yeah. I was just like, man, I wonder what company they worked for, who they may have wrestled. And I look up and it's the fucking Smoking Guns for a week of house show dates.
Okay. They go to war in November.
They're going to war, you say?
But I bet this was a Lulu. The Rock and Roll Express against Lionheart and Ultimo Dragon.
God damn.
Yeah.
So Gibson gave Candido a catapult over the top rope onto Brian Lee on the floor. Brian Lee gets in a cop's face and pokes his chest, and the cop shoved him back. I don't know if the cop was in on this whole thing here.
You used to be able, a cop would work a spot with you. If you tried to work a spot with a cop today, they'd shoot you.
Well, Primetime Brian Lee is white, so,
It's true. It's true.
Did I say that? So Les compared Ricky Morton punching the champs to Sugar Ray Leonard punching George Foreman 10 times before Foreman could punch him once. Now the problem, and I know that, I'm just nitpicking here. The problem with that comparison is I know, right? They were never in the same weight class. And I guess Tyson was still in prison, but they could have said Tyson and Foreman since Tyson had really fast hands for a heavyweight. And hey, I wrote take a drink when Arya has a nitpick. Rock and Rolls had a long shine until Morton finally got cut off. They fucked up a Candido slingshot into a Primetime Brian Lee top rope punch to the face because we had a long shot of the ugly fans. Gibson got in the ring and hip tossed his partner into his own corner to make the hot tag. Tammy kept trying to get involved, but Ricky Gibson tried pulling her dress off, which seems like sexual assault. The finish saw Candido throw Gibson over the top rope and go to the top. Gibson shoved him off where Candido was unable to stop himself from giving Brian Lee a top rope crossbody, and Morton pinned him for the win.
That is what happened.
Yep. Morton took the mic to mention Fire on the Mountain, where if Tammy loses, she will leave looking like Kojak. Poor Terry Savalas. Now, you have the DVD, you said.
Yeah.
Now, did the DVD have any bonus features? Did they have footage from Fire on the Mountain?
I don't think so. It had
Okay.
the Cornette and Meltzer commentary track.
So did they say what? I guess I'm just curious,
I
like
didn't know.
when you're somebody who watches this show years after the fact, and you're not us, and you're watching the TV show week by week, so you know what's going on. Like, what do you think when Ricky Morton is plugging, shaving Tammy Fytch's head tomorrow night in Johnson City?
That's wrestling, and that's a thing that you do.
Okay, then.
This is actually this is the best match on the show, by the way. Classic Southern style tag match.
Going through the rest of it, yeah, I would say definitely. I'd say if that main event had more time, it possibly could have.
Yeah, they did not go very long.
No, we'll get to that. Oh boy, will we get to that. Yeah. So up next, we then get the Legends segment. And I know you were running a little bit behind. Did you watch any of this?
Yeah, a lot of it after the going through the video portion that we've already seen. I watched, I think, most of it.
I started skipping it, and then I saw Mr. Ron Wright, and even though it's stuff we've already seen of Mr. Wright, I had to, of course, watch it. First, as he mentioned, they aired all of Les Thatcher's History of Knoxville segments, and then Phil Rainey hosted the Hall of Fame segment and introduced NWA Rookie of the Year, Les Thatcher. That might explain why Heyman is trying to disassociate himself with the NWA at this point, since Les Thatcher was the Rookie of the Year in 1994. Especially since he then talked about this is his 34th year in wrestling. I think the NWA needs to recount those Rookie of the Year ballots.
Maybe it's the same people stuffing the ballot for the Dream Match vote on Mid-South.
Well, there you go. Anyway, Les was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it got a little confusing here because they began introducing people. And I thought everybody they introduced at first was in the Hall of Fame. But apparently not. They introduced Charlie Bauer, Ed Sandberg. Well, actually, no, they didn't even introduce them. They announced these people because they had passed away who had worked for the promotion. Charlie Bauer, Ed Sandberg, Ed Hammond, and Big Jim Hess. And Les led the crowd in a round of applause. Les then inducted Phil Rainey into the Hall of Fame before introducing Bill Kincaid, who was working instead of being inducted, Sandy Scott, Billy Wicks, and Sarah Lee. And this is where I wrote, I thought they were in the Hall of Fame, but apparently not. And then we get to the actual inductees, who are referee Tommy Weathers, referee Ronnie West, who somehow didn't get bumped here, referee Mac McMurray, promoter Bob Polk, Corsica Joe, Dandy Jack Donovan, Jim White. We then had Jobber Joe Kazana, except for his granddad, John Kazana, Frank Burrell, wife Jody Bass, excepted for Sam Bass, Ricky Gibson, Doug Furnas, and Nelson Royal. And then Les called Nelson the last inductee, and then he kept introducing more people. Because then he introduced the Mongolian Stomper, Ron Garvin, Don and Al Green, and Ron and Don Wright. And then, to the shock of approximately nobody, Ron was the winner of the Greatest Wrestler in Knoxville award, and I was more concerned with who won the $100.
Oh yeah, did we find that out?
No, we didn't.
Oh, travesty.
Yeah. Maybe Brian Last won it. Ron then presented an award to the wife and children of Whitey Caldwell. I hope his wife doesn't trust Ron. But however, Whitey's wife broke kayfabe, shaking Ron's hand. Whitey's son, though, I think was following kayfabe, because Whitey's son looked like he was going to get in the ring and kick Ron Wright's ass. Or at least try to kick Ron Wright's ass, because I bet Ron would have kicked his ass.
Put an East Tennessee dog whooping on him.
Yep. I gotta say, Whitey Caldwell dying in a car crash gave new meaning to the term "kill Whitey."
All right, there, New Jack.
Dick Slater and Bobby Orton Jr. refused to come out to accept their awards. They also have a plaque for Bullet Bob, who couldn't be bothered to come get his plaque. I was disappointed that when they introduced Don and Al Green as the original Heavenly Bodies, neither of them fluffed their hair or made a scumbag comment about the ladies while doing some dick dancing.
Oh, yeah, not my Heavenly Bodies.
Yep. Gibson, Furnas, Royal, Stomper, Garvin, one of the Greens, and Ron Wright all cut promos. I bet Jody Bass was pissed off because she had no idea she could just take the microphone and cut a promo. Yeah. And mind you, I would have murdered somebody if Mr. Ron Wright didn't cut a promo, especially after we had to hear from Nelson Royal again.
Yeah, sure.
By the way, I feel kind of stupid because it wasn't until recently that I discovered that Phil Rainey was a broadcaster in wrestling, well before this. Which suddenly I feel better about how I said in an early episode of Smoky Mountain that Phil should be broadcasting Smoky Mountain.
Yeah, did you not know that he and Les were the team on after Fuller took over Knoxville?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I decided he was like a random news anchor that was friends with Cornette that would, do the occasional thing.
Well, you learned something, didn't you?
Yep, I did. You learn something new every day.
Like
how Chris Jericho broke his arm in a motorcycle wreck.
Yeah, that was. I wonder if that was before or after he tried to do a shooting star press.
To be fair, breaking your arm in a motorcycle wreck does sound much better than this dumbass broke his arm doing a shooting star press before the show.
Maybe they should have said that Chavo Guerrero was in a motorcycle accident at that time and Kidman landed on him weird.
There you go. And by the way, not Chavo Classic. We're talking about Chavo Guerrero.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Calling, and they did this twice with Chavo and then Ted DiBiase, where it's like Vince being so adamant that nobody can be called Junior. He brings out their fathers, and it's like and John Cena, when his dad was on the show, he was Mr. Cena. But it's like Ted DiBiase had to introduce his son, Ted DiBiase, and Chavo Guerrero had to introduce his son, Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, it's very stupid.
Yes. Oh, Lord. So Cornette is wearing his black and gold jacket and suit pants that he wore at WrestleMania 10, which I think these are the only two times he wore that outfit. And that's
pretty
a
epic.
Tremendous fucking outfit.
Pretty epic.
Yes. So Thrillseekers ran through the crowd to attack the Heavenly Bodies from behind. Jericho did a left-handed throw to heave Lance off the top rope onto the bodies. This match actually had two heat segments, one on Lance and one, the more famous one, on Jericho. Del Rey even got the time to do some dick dancing. Lance made the first hot tag, rolling out of the way of Tom's top rope elbow. It's actually fun watching Jericho make a one-arm comeback. Tom tripped up Jericho, dragged him out of the ring, and sent him into the barricade and to the post to turn Chris into Carrie. Now, I am not a proponent of blood being used as frequently as it did, especially in the Attitude Era, but this right here was an example of blood being used smartly. Jericho was leaking blood, seeping into his blonde hair, and the Heavenly Bodies looked like the baddest badasses in Knoxville, just beating his ass. Now, I will say, and I should have pulled out Jericho's book. Didn't Jericho say that that the bump he took in this match was he was on the top rope and he got pushed off the top rope and hit his head off the post? Or am I making shit up to the nth degree?
I do not remember offhand. That may have been a thing that happened. I don't know.
Well, it definitely did not happen in this match. So Mark Curtis, whose blue referee shirt has a few extra stains, and we'll get to the unprofessionalism of Mark Curtis later on in this show. But Mark Curtis's shirt is covered in Chris Jericho's blood, and he stopped the match due to the Heavenly Bodies kicking too much ass. Jericho begged Curtis to not stop the match, so Curtis restarted the match. The finish was off camera. Del Rey was beating on Jericho. Storm superkicked Jimmy, and Jericho pinned him. I gotta say, I don't think this is the first time I saw this match, but this is the first time I really watched the match, And it's like this. I don't know. It wasn't a bad match. It was disappointing for all the build I'd built this match up in my head as.
The finish was not well executed enough to be this complicated.
Yeah. This was like a 2-star match, maybe 2.5.
I'm not that hard on it, but yeah.
But the blood makes it like, a much more memorable, incident. And it's like he was wearing the literal definition of a crimson mask. And
you're right. It's the carry thing. It's a very strong resemblance.
Cornette. They kept in Cornette cutting a promo asking how the referee could stop the match and then restart it, which is a valid point. Yes. And Mark Curtis basically said that Jericho asked to restart the match. And it's not like you're making a decision. You cannot restart the match via the referee,
I don't feel that Mark Curtis should have been the referee for this match in the first place. After all, he was involved in that terrible beating that the masked Heavenly Bodies put on the Thrillseekers outside of the building.
Yep. Where the hell was Mac McMurray for this?
Yeah, seriously. We knew they had other referees in the building. Get Ron West out here.
I bet Ronnie West would have taken a bump for Chris Jericho in this match. So Jericho never wrestles in Smoky Mountain again because the TV taping is after this. So it's not like, oh, well, he had a TV taping. We wrestled 4 times, so we'll see him for the next month. It's like, nope.
No.
He doesn't wrestle again until a tour of war at the end of September.
Which is pretty fucking crazy that he came back after like 6 weeks with a broken arm.
I mean, how long are you supposed to be out for a broken arm? Like, I thought it was like 6 to 8 weeks.
What? That's like a normal, like being a normal person, though. That's not being a fucking professional athlete.
True that.
And you know what's crazy? This is like Chris Jericho, who is he's been on hiatus for the better part of a year now, but other than that, he's been, for the most part, active for 35 years. This is the only significant injury he ever had.
Pretty much. Because, I mean, like, his only other breaks were, like, each time he left WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I thought it was 2.5 stars. What did you think? If I was too harsh, like...
Oh, I was at 3.25. I didn't think it was the greatest match ever or anything. It just... I appreciated the effort.
Yeah. I thought the problem was it could have been executed better.
The finish was poorly executed.
I do think one of the problems is that, the Heavenly Bodies are a Smoky Mountain legendary. If there was a Smoky Mountain Wrestling Hall of Fame, the Heavenly Bodies would be in it. However, they've been gone for 4 months, and so all these fans have seen their team now be essentially jobbers in the WWF. And it's And it's like, well, now they're coming back as badasses. It's like one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah, it's pretty silly.
We will say, though, and this is a spoiler alert, the crowd is much more appreciative of the Heavenly Bodies the next time they come to Knoxville.
Well, that's good.
Yes. All right. So from here, let's go to a promo with our Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion, the Dirty White Boy.
In just a few short minutes, I'm fixing to walk that aisle. I'm going to walk that aisle in Knoxville, Tennessee, and probably in front of the biggest crowd ever to face Bam Bam Terry Gordy, one of the fabulous Freebirds for the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight title. Well, Bam Bam, I've went through hell and back again just to get this title, and you can't get in my backyard now. Are you man enough? Are you tough enough? We're fixing to find out.
All right. So we go to our next match, which is the Smoky Mountain Champion, Dirty White Boy versus Terry Gordy. I guess I should go back. Do you have anything to say about the White Boy promo? I really didn't. Like, it was, a fairly basic promo, I thought.
It was indeed a promo.
Yeah. He went through hell. I'm shocked he didn't say he went through hell with gasoline britches on. But at this point, I'm looking at the clock. There's 90 minutes left in the show. And unless I'm forgetting something, there's only 2 matches left. This and the 6-man tag.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, imagine if this went to a 60-minute time limit draw. And, the funny thing is, as I was saying, imagine if this went to a 60-minute time limit draw. JR starts talking about a match between Lou Thez and Danny Hodge that went to a 90-minute draw, and Thez used the side headlock for 60 minutes. Suddenly, flashbacks I had to Vince Russo bitching about how wrestling fans just want to see a 60-minute headlock. It wasn't so much of a crazy idea, was it?
Nah, I'd watch the fuck out of that. It'd be awesome.
Yep. Now, I guess it's not what you make, it's what you save. But not only is Mark Curtis the referee for this match, too, he's wearing his bloody shirt. Was Ronnie West busy?
Yeah,
God.
he's still covered in Jericho's blood.
Yep. This match was slow-paced. White Boy signaled for the Bucksnort Blaster, which when Gordy slapped it away, it knocked down the referee. Suddenly, Conan Chris Walker ran in for the disqualification. Rock and Roll ran in for the save. I mean, do you think Gordy refused to do the job? Like, especially at this point, like, what was Terry Gordy really doing at this point?
Not much. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. This was crap. They bumped the poor referee to do the run-in, and it was a DQ anyway. Why'd
they bother?
Yeah.
Yep. Now, Gordy is actually going to be here for the last 6 months of the company. And it's not good Terry Gordy. It's more this Terry Gordy.
It's not the world-class 85 Terry Gordy.
Nope. It is not Terry Gordy trying to single-handedly cause 5 people to lose loser-leave town stipulations.
That's called a callback.
Yes. If you want to know what we're talking about, listen to the Tuesday show, which, by the way, Tuesday featured the greatest musical performance in the history of podcasting.
Sure does.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I have to start playing that every week now until you get sick of it. I won't do that. Anyway, so yeah, Conan Chris Walker ran for the disqualification in what may be Conan Chris Walker's last ever appearance on this show.
I think it is.
Yep. All right. So at this point, this is a 3-hour, 30-minute, and 53-second video file, and we are 2 hours and 13 minutes into it with 1 match left. And what happens from here, and this is what made it make more sense, they showed us a history package detailing the entire feud between Jim Cornette and Bullet Bob Armstrong. And it's been going on, well, it's really been going on for about a year and a couple months, but they traced it back to Fire on the Mountain 92, 2 years ago, with the Rock and Roll Express, with the Heavenly Bodies and the Fantastics in the barbed wire cage match. Now, I don't know why, but I watched the entire pre-match video package. And like, I really should have fast forwarded when we got it to like the closer to nowadays, because like about 30 minutes of it was fun. I'd say classic Smoky Mountain, because I mean the company's been 2 years old here, but it's like, you know what I mean, like the shit that like I'd not so much forgotten about but hadn't seen and whatnot. It was fun to go back and watch. They showed that original promo where Bob Armstrong got pissed off because Cornette ripped on Dixie Dynamite, and Dixie took off his mask to show he was Scott Armstrong, and Bob came out and took off his clip-on tie, and it was just fucking fantastic here.
I popped all over again. For it's just a clip-on, it comes right off.
How much of this did you watch?
I watched, I think, all the promos. I started fast forwarding through some of the wrestling stuff that we had seen before, but the promos were too good.
By the way, 59 minutes. This video package lasted 59 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And in case you're curious, Smoky Mountain, the TV show, is 1 hour, and we get it without commercials, so it's about 42 to 43 minutes. This video package was longer than an entire episode of Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Wow.
Almost makes you think they could have just aired this last week, or the week before when they did the preview show.
Yeah, why didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, Lord. So 59 minutes wasn't enough because we then go to the locker rooms for some pre-match promos. Let's go first to the heel team, and then they're going to go to, I believe, the babyface team. In fact, I'm pretty sure they do. But let's go to that right now.
Well, it's all on the line tonight. This is make or break Jim Cornette Day, and I've got the biggest, baddest, most legendary assemblage of wrestling talent ever put together under one roof. The Funk Brothers and Bruiser Bedlam. And I guarantee you, there ain't a coward around here, and I ain't gonna wave no flag, Dory. No way.
No way, Mr. Cornette. You're not gonna wave the flag. And I want to say this. This is one of the most important wrestling matches to take place in not only the United States of America this year. This is important all over the world. There are people from Japan, from around the world, watching for this six-man tag team match to see what happens. I take it very serious. There's a fellow on the other side that I don't care for, and I think you know that's Bullet Bob Armstrong. I wrestled him a long time ago, and I really don't care for his partners either. But this is an important one, and we're going to go for the win. We're not going to waste it.
That's exactly right. And Terry Funk, I know that you're not going to want to quit. No way, no way. You're not going to ask me to wave that flag, are you, Terry?
Cornette, back up a moment. That is the damnedest outfit that I have ever witnessed in my entire life. And you have dressed for the occasion.
That's right.
Because you have an admiral's or a general's outfit, and that's what we need. Because what is necessary, we are going to the ring. It's his discretion whether the white flag of surrender should be waved. What I say is throw the flags away. Let's go get them. Let's go, guys. Let's put our hands together and let's get out there.
Oh, yeah. Hey. I don't care about nobody, and I ain't going to wave no flag. Let's go get them, boys.
You know, we've walked, we've talked, and the BS has been flying. Well, it's all over, and it's time to get down to business and get the job done. You might say, where's Ron Wright, the man that waves the cowards and waves the flag match? He's so mean, he won't even talk to the three of us. But we are ready for you, Jim Cornette, and your outhouse
Union, you've surrounded yourself with human excrement. Now let's see if you can dig your way out tonight.
Jim Cornette, like we said before, your union is busted. We got a guy right here that darn near killed you in the scaffold match. It's too wet to plow and it's too windy to haul rock, so we can't get along and we're gonna get it on. There's no cowards right here. We're coming to fight. Cornette, Bruiser Bedlam, and the Funks, you're going down, and that's the bottom line.
What about it, Union Buster?
Well, goodness gracious, mercy my. We're just about to enter the ring, which is good for us, and bad for Funks, and bad for Bedlam, and bad for Cornette. The simple difference is, they care. We don't. You care about Mom. You care about Dad. You care about Aunt Eileen if you got one. You care about your hamsters. I had hamsters. Used to feed them to my boa constrictor just for kicks before I'd sit down and beat someone else up. You know what, Cornette? You little crankbait. You get in my face and I'm gonna slap the sequins of that stinking suit you're wearing, punk. Oh.
Do you ever wonder if Bruiser Bedlam was in awe that only a few months ago he was doing indies in Michigan, and now he's having matches with Macho Man Randy Savage, Terry and Dory Funk, and Road Warrior Hawk? And I know you're going to say, well, he was a WWF jobber. He probably wrestled a lot of these guys already. But this is him being treated as an equal to Randy Savage and Road Warrior Hawk and Tracy Smothers and Bullet Bob. And he's an appropriate tag partner for Terry and Dory Funk.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, that was the... He wanted to see if he could make it in a territory, and he's doing well.
He definitely could make it in a territory. So we go to the match.
Hold on.
I got...
Before we go to the match, Bob smiling awkwardly, but giving Hawk the side eye and holding the microphone while Hawk talks about feeding hamsters to a boa constrictor was the best part of the whole thing.
It is tremendous. Okay. So Brian Myers in TNA, I don't know if it's still his gimmick, but at least for a while, he was known as the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Hildebrand, Mark Curtis, the most unprofessional wrestler in wrestling, or the most professional person in wrestling. It's been an hour since the last match, and he didn't change his fucking shirt.
I don't think they aired the whole hour there in the Coliseum.
Probably not. No, this was probably not when the intermission was. But this was a wild brawl from before the opening bell. Tracy did a top rope shove to the back of the head to Terry. Finally, this wild, chaotic, out of control brawl broke down into a tag team match. In comparison to Jericho's blade job, the ketchup in Tracy's hamburger squirted out on his face. I know his role is basically as a shoot to tell the guys when to take it home, but why is Mark Curtis even in the ring? Like, he's got nothing to do in this match. He doesn't count falls. He doesn't have to be in the ring. Like, okay, fine, someone has to call for the bell, but he could just be sitting on a chair at ringside to call for the bell.
He could have been in the back changing his fucking shirt.
There you go. He could be putting on a Smoky Mountain t-shirt. You know, got to sell the merch. You know?
Yeah. He could be taking pictures with his kids.
Exactly. Well, they weren't his kids. They were some lady's kids.
Allegedly.
Yes. So Hawk got the hot tag and used the top rope clothesline on Bedlam and then began choking him. Cornette ran over, powdered Mr. Ron Wright, hit on the floor, and I thought this was cute. He hit on the floor and began waving Ron Wright's flag, but Mark Curtis did not see it. He did not turn around. Wright then recovered and beat up Cornette. Cornette tried to attack Wright with a flag, which looked like he was waving it, which Curtis actually saw and called for the bell. The whole thing went like 7 minutes.
Yeah, it was bell to bell was under 9 minutes. Just some classic kind of Tennessee wrestling chaos.
Yeah. And the problem, though, with all types of coward waves of flag or towel matches or whatever, it's always going to be a screw job.
Yeah.
It's just, what screw job are you going to do? Like Halloween Havoc 89, Ole punched Gary Hart and a towel flew out of Gary's hands and into the ring, and so it was it was a submission. Which about Owen guilt tripped Helen into throwing in the towel for Brett, and and we've seen a few of these coward waves of flag matches in Smoky Mountain. But yeah, it's I don't say it's sad that it got all built up for this, because this was a fun 9 minutes. I would say it's at worst the second best match on the show.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just kind of the way it was. It's the big show. You've already sold the tickets. That's when you just do the little bit of chaos and send the people home happy.
That is true. And this was a little bit of chaos, and the fans did in fact go home happy.
It was chaotic for sure.
Indeed it was. So from here, that's the end of Night of the Legends. But that's not the end of the show, because we got to talk about the rest of the actual Smoky Mountain television show. So the Smoky Mountain television show from August 13th, 1994, they air the Legends tag, the Gangstas promo, the Heavenly Bodies versus the Thrillseekers, and the Rock and Roll Express versus Primetime Brian Lee and Chris Candido from Night of the Legends. So from here, let's go to Les Thatcher, who is backstage, to segue into our main event.
We're in Johnson City's Freedom Hall. You've just seen the tape from last night in Knoxville, the Night of Legends, where the Rock and Roll Express regained their Smoky Mountain Tag Team titles from the tandem of Chris Candido and Brian Lee. The titles were again on the line here tonight, and also on the line the hair of Ricky Morton and also the hair of Tammy Fytch. The match was exciting, but there were a couple of unexpected turns, so let's take a look.
All right, so from here we go to Tag Team Champions, the Rock and Roll Express versus Primetime Brian Lee and Chris Candido with Tammy Fytch in a Ricky Morton's hair versus Tammy Fytch's hair match. We are, in fact, joined in progress. The heels missed the rocket launcher. Gibson gets the hot tag. Morton had the win with a roll-up, but the Gangstas ran in, and Mustafa ran Morton's head into New Jack's behind the referee's back. And they got the pin. Candido and Brian Lee got the pin, and they win the Smoky Mountain Tag Team Championship.
By the way, we are told that earlier tonight, the Rock and Roll Express interfered in the Gangstas match, and this was retaliation.
Yes, and I imagine what had to have happened, because they took on fucking Anthony Michaels and Steve Skyflyer, and I can't imagine the Gangstas really needed help, or that that the Gangstas had to screw over Anthony Michaels and Steve Skyflyer. So I imagine it was more, they beat the white boys' asses and then kept beating it afterwards, and the Rock and Rolls ran in. The match apparently went 12 minutes and 13 seconds, which, man, oh man, that sounds like a humdinger.
Yeah.
So, all right, ultimate screwjob time, and Jim Cornette was of the opinion that if you offer a stipulation, it's okay to not deliver it if it means that the wronged babyface doesn't get screwed over. And Ricky Morton was screwed over here, and so he felt that the fans would understand and not be upset that Ricky Morton didn't lose his hair. Unfortunately, this was such an extreme stipulation that it did help sell tickets to Fire on the Mountain, because it's a stipulation where it's like, okay, something has to give. Either Ricky Morton is going to shave the mullet that he's had forever, or Tammy Fytch is going to have to shave her head, and we're going to have a bald woman on the show. And instead, what happened, and this is where they tried to like play it off a bit, and we're going to hear a promo from Ricky Morton. But Morton sat down for the head shaving, and instead of being, good sports and good winners, Chris Candido slapped Morton a few times. So the Rock and Rolls fired up and took out the heels. Morton then grabbed the shears and tried to cut Chris Candido's hair instead. And they immediately cut the feed without showing how the crowd in Johnson City turned on this big time. And there's conjecture over whether or not they were actually going to shave Candido's whole head, because what you don't see is that Candido bails without getting his head shaved, and the Rock and Roll Express, like with the crowd not happy at all, the Rock and Rolls basically go back and they call an audible and bring Candido back out and cut his hair some more. And I believe Candido is going to be bald moving forward on the show. But yeah, this was a big fucking screw job here.
Very much a big screw job.
Yep. And I know you said you were like almost disappointed because I built it up so much. But what are your thoughts on this one?
It's just fucking low effort. Just lowest common denominator shit. And you don't have to honor stipulations if it's the heel getting fucked over. I don't like that shit.
Yep. And the sad thing is, it's like they've done a lot of these screw jobs on big stipulations, and I still contest that this is a lot. This is a lot to do with why Smoky Mountain business starts going down, because how can you believe any stipulation they throw at you when they screw you over on so many of them?
That's a valid point, isn't it?
Yep. Now, Fire in the Mountain draws 1,800 people, and this is August of '94. It takes them until April for Johnson City to draw 1,800 again, and they don't beat that number until Fire in the Mountain '95, which does 1,900. And to wrap everything up and to put a big bow on this, let's go to Ricky Morton, who has a show closing promo.
I told you people out here I was a man of my word. I was going to sit down in that chair, I was going to get my head shaved, but you see, Chris Candido, you just couldn't leave it alone. You just couldn't leave it the way things should have been. You see, Chris, you're right there in my face, spitting in my face, saying accusations that I can't say right here on TV. And then, Chris, you slapped me upside my head. Well, Chris, that's the reason we got you down and run that razor through your head and all that hair went flying. But what I'm here to talk about is you gangsters. Oh, yeah, brother. You're the one that started it, and the Rock and Roll's going to be the one to finish it. Now, you come out here telling the whole world that the Rock and Roll Express is dead. Well, brother, let me tell you, Rock and Roll is always going to be alive. You're going to see things that you've never seen before in your life. Because, gangsters, you come out here and talk about how tough and how bad you are. But you couldn't whoop half of us without our other half helping you. We don't care what it takes, brother. Anytime the match goes, brother, any place, we're coming for you, gangsters, and you're going down.
So which half of Ricky Morton is the lesser half? If half of Ricky Morton and the gangsters took on the other half of Ricky Morton, they would not win. Half of Ricky Morton would win by himself.
I think it's... Never mind. I'm not going to dignify this with any analysis.
Okay. So I do think this could be some very interesting promos with Ricky Morton and New Jack.
I expect this to be outstanding.
The matches are going to be, I don't want to say dog shit, Because we
I
did see
can't
the
wait.
Moondogs we had the Moondogs and the Harrises earlier this year. I can't imagine this could possibly be that bad. You know,
Look, neither one of those teams was the Rock and Roll Express.
exactly. And like obviously New Jack was never the smoothest in-ring worker, and Mustafa's best thing to do is stand there and look menacing. And he does a very good job of standing there and looking menacing.
Yeah.
But that's it for Smoky Mountain Wrestling for Night of the Legends. Quite possibly the biggest show they ever do.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah. The only show that could possibly beat them is next year's Super Bowl of Wrestling. And you can argue that this show was more successful because even if the Super Bowl of Wrestling did the exact same number of people, even if it sold a few more tickets and made a few more dollars, they had to use Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker to help sell that crowd next year. It's like this show, like, okay, fine, you had Road Warrior Hawk, but other than Road Warrior Hawk, it was people who've been on this show a lot. Like Terry and Dory Funk have been on the show a lot, you know, and like that's the main selling point, you know, and that's like I think it's more impressive for this show than next year's show. And it may feel differently next year, but on the outside looking in, it looks more like as a big deal selling out this show.
It seems like they never did like a big push for like merch, which the company only lasted a couple of months after that. But the Night of the Legends had like, you know, a nice commercial VHS release at the time and the DVD release in the 2000s, and it's been around, and Cornette has talked about it and has, you know, sold the DVD, and it. I've never seen. I've seen the show before because I've bought the DVD at some point. I've never seen any of the Super Bowl of wrestling stuff until we get to the TV next year.
I've seen because I saw the Shawn Michaels Buddy Landell match. I've seen that, and I think Undertaker versus Unabomb. I think that was up on WWE Network at one point. But like I'm just looking at the rest of the matches, and I mean nothing looks terrible, but you know, yeah. And actually, Super Bowl Wrestling does not sell as well as Night of the Legends. They both drew off 5,000, but I guess ticket prices were lower because Super Bowl of Wrestling only drew 37,500.
So this is the biggest gate that they ever did.
Yes, because I mean.
Okay.
I don't think they do anything even remotely in this attendance wise between now and the end of the days.
Yeah, I fear that we're on the downswing now.
Yeah.
At least we have Jim Ross for a while coming up.
Exactly. We have him for about 6 months. It's not until WrestleMania 11 because that's when he goes back to the WWF.
Now, does Bob do one more taping, or is it Bob do one more taping?
Bob's here, I think, until the beginning of October. So I think we got him for 2 more.
Okay.
And right now I'm just like scrolling through the results of shows for next year, and like other than, you know, Super Bowl of Wrestling, it's like everything seems to be doing about 2,000 people. As like the highest outside of that 5,000. Every other big show is around that 17 to 2,000. Volunteer Slam does 1,550. They do. I think this is the show that he tried to get Ricky Steamboat to come in and sign autographs, and Bonnie wouldn't let him. In Charlotte, drew 200 people, which that seems that seems like a bit of a bust.
Sounds like Bonnie.
Bonnie seems like a little bit of a bust, or that Bonnie wouldn't let Ricky come in.
Yes, all of it.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh, I clicked October 94, not October 95. I was about to say, what the hell is this in October 95? Yeah, like we are going to be limping to the end here next year. I mean, I know they got some pretty good deals on like the buildings, but it's like some of these shows, like they may have had to pay to get out of the building.
The beginning of next year will be at the Super Bowl of wrestling.
No, August is the Super Bowl of wrestling.
Yeah, and it's
you mean
August
like,
now.
Yeah. You mean like the beginning of 2027. I thought you meant like the beginning of 95.
Yes.
Yeah, Thanksgiving Thunder 95. Knoxville Coliseum 1100. Barberville, Kentucky drawing question mark. Freedom Hall drawing 550. And the final show ever in Cookeville, Tennessee drawing question mark. Yeah, like
very amused at the story that I heard recently that when John Layfield had been trying to get Cornette to let him to come work at Smoky Mountain, so they finally said, "Okay, you start at Christmas," and then they closed at Thanksgiving.
Well, the same thing happened with Terry Landell or whatever. Like they were trying to play nice, and we're going to do the little invasion angle with Terry Landell's people coming in, and then they went out of business instead.
Wasn't Terry Landell one of the people that Jim Cornette has had a very eccentric confrontation with?
Yes, and believe it or not, we're going to get to some of that as we finish up the show with the favorite way we do every week. What else is happening in the world of wrestling this week? So here's some drama that's going to pay off very soon here on August 13th, 1994. The NWA announced this week that they do not authorize the upcoming NWA title tournament that Eastern Championship Wrestling is holding on August 27th. ECW announced it based on the blessing of board member Jim Crockett. Todd Gordon is trying to get Dennis Coralluzzo on his side to get the 3-person majority needed for this tournament to become official. New Zealand promoter Steve Rickard, has not to be confused with Southeast Massachusetts promoter Steve Rickard, wants them to wait until the NWA convention in September. And the problem with this is that ECW has basically said they're going to do this whether or not the NWA goes along with it. And at this point, the NWA is in such shambles, they cannot afford a lawyer to even file an injunction because they still owe legal fees from when they went after WCW in '93, and they never paid their lawyers. So
okay, I guess I didn't know about all of this. How, like, who is Coralluzzo? It's Coralluzzo that they're working with to put the thing together, right?
Well, not necessarily, but there's still 2 more weeks of this. We have some more news about that next week.
Okay.
But as of right now, the NWA title tournament is not sanctioned by the NWA. And if you remember, about a month ago, we talked about how the show was announced for Woodbridge, New Jersey, and then it got magically moved to Philly. And the reason why it got moved to Philly was because the fans in Philly bitched about it. Now, ultimately, and again, this is now us looking into the future, can you imagine if the NWA title tournament, ECW show, if that show was not at the ECW arena?
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't have done that there.
Yeah. WCW this week announced that they're going to be teaming up with Mexican promotions AAA and the IWC for a Lucha Libre pay-per-view on November 6th. Dave is worried about how WCW is going to be able to promote this show, especially since they have their own pay-per-view 2 weeks earlier with Halloween Havoc 94. Then we get to our favorite part of the show. Who is Jim Cornette mad at this week?
Oh, boy.
This week, Jim Cornette is mad at Bruce Mitchell and Wade Keller. Apparently, Bruce had written a fantasy booking angle in jest where the Gangsters angle was pushed to an extreme that Cornette would never think of. And then Keller apparently named some of the extras that were in the Thrillseekers videos. And for some reason, that really got under Cornette's skin. And Cornette apparently cut quite the promo on their answering machines.
Tremendous.
This was also around the time that, and I don't know the exact time, but this is around the time that apparently it was in the torch that they were going to go out of business while they were trying to get TV somewhere, possibly in Chattanooga. And the station manager was told by his son that this company was going out of business, so they're not going to, so why would they put them on TV? And so needless to say, Jim Cornette is not fans of the pro wrestling torch right now.
What a shame.
Especially since the third guy in that group is Mark Madden, and he is, not a fan of Mark Madden.
I am also not a fan of Mark Madden. Just on principle.
You say you are not a fan of Mark Madden?
No.
Any particular reason, or?
Okay, just think of everything you know about Mark Madden. It's that.
Okay. There is a lot with that man. There is a lot.
I find him distasteful.
And then one of those things I'm not that I'm necessarily surprised that Dave Meltzer reported this, but we're like surprised because like who knows these people? Like nowadays we do because the story's been told ad nauseum, and you can listen to Cornette rant about it on YouTube. But Dave reports that Pam Lawson and Casey O'Connor are both gone from Smoky Mountain. Lawson had given her notice and finished up last weekend, while O'Connor was fired. And Dave did not go into detail about either of those things. It's possible Dave did not know more detail than that.
And was this the time with the camera at the flop house and fucking Casey O'Connor's car? Yeah.
That's in a couple weeks.
Okay.
But right now, this was he's been fucking up left and right, and apparently they found a whole bunch of posters in his closet that he did not deliver to who he was supposed to deliver it to.
Yes, I recall this story.
And Night of the Legends is the show where Pam Lawson led to a light stand being knocked over. So
very Pam Lawson.
Yep. Poor Pam Lawson. And then she stole like $2,000 or whatever. I gotta say, like, these companies are like, that there's a lot of like wacky stories like that back in the day too, but like how many Jim Cornettes are out there telling them?
Yeah,
not that many. So that's it for this week in wrestling history, and that is it for Smoky Mountain this week. And that was a lot of Smoky Mountain to watch this week. About 4 hours if you include the end of the TV show. I guess not really, because the end of the TV show was only like 5 or 6 minutes. So we're like 3 hours and 35, 3 hours 40 minutes. But still, that's like 4 or 5 regular Smoky Mountain shows for us.
We went above and beyond for you, the listener, because we are professionals.
Yeah. And it's like, and you know what? Blame two things. Blame me for insisting on doing every episode in order, and blame Smoky Mountain for doing the Night of the Legends preview show a week early. At least a week early for us. Because like it really wouldn't have made sense for it to be last week, because it would have been the day after Night of the Legends. But if they would have done it last week, we could have been like, fuck it, and we'll just kind of do like half the show last week and half the show this week. Instead, it's me, so like we had to do it this way.
Yeah.
All right. So that's going to do it. I got to go to bed soon because I got to wake up early because tomorrow's the one day of the month I got to go into the office. Fuck that. But, you gotta work the shoot job and get money.
Mm-hmm.
Before we finish up, you have anything else you want to say?
I mean, not really. Just kind of, keep on keeping on.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for listening. I hope you all enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.